Hi, Jay here from Jayson Mair Coaching. Thank you for watching this week's episode of Ask Jay. Relationship coach I am, here to discuss deal breakers. What are they and why do we need them in a relationship? And should you have them in your relationship? What is a deal breaker? As I hear a few of you ask, and a lot of people have emailed and asked this over the years. A deal breaker is where you have decided after many mistakes, many relationships, many times you've seen what works and doesn't work, and you've been able to sit down and get an understanding of what you like and don't like. So you may have done a pros and cons list and gone, I like this, I like this, I like this, I like this. I do not like this, this, and this. Just a tip as well, a pre-tip, that if you ever do one of these pros and cons list, you will struggle to find out what you like. Do what you don't like first. So you might, I don't like people who snore, I don't like people who have no jobs, I don't like people like this, this, and this, and then write the opposite on the other side. That will give you an easier way to understand what you like and don't like. When you have that list of what you like and don't like, grab the list of what you do and look at them. Look at the ones you like. Now, these are where you're going to get your deal breakers. Now, the majority of people that I've worked with over the years, deal breakers are like things like, I want to be with someone who has a job. I want someone who treats me well with respect, does not make me feel mistreated or fearful of them or everything else. Now, when you're doing this, you need to make it as what I call the 3 Ps. The first P is you need to make it a priority. Now, when I say this, it's not a preference when you're deciding what you like and don't like. It's not like you go, oh, well, I just hope they, put the toilet seat down or, at least wipe their feet when they come in the house or anything. They're just preferences. A deal breaker is something that you are not, it's going to be your new standard, which means you are not going to compromise. You are not going to allow someone, this rule is not going to be bent. So if it's something like, for example, I will not be abused verbally or physically by anyone, it will be my priority to make that. I will not compromise. If I'm with someone and they even raise their hand towards me, I will be putting my hand up and say, you do that and this is over. That is setting a deal breaker clear in your mind that you will not allow any, and you will not make excuses for them. You will not allow anyone to break your deal breakers. They are fully it. So if I sat down with you right now and I said, right, I want you to write down all the things you've liked about previous people you've dated before. Even if you haven't dated, but guys or girls that you've seen and you've gone, I like that in them and I like that and I don't like that. And you wrote it down. I want you then to sit there and look at that list and tell me what things you want in your new relationship, or even if you're in a current relationship. There are some of you that are watching that have probably been in relationships 5, 10, 15 years. And I will touch on this in a moment. We'll cover things where things have dropped and typical arguments are repeating themselves. We will get to that point at a moment. But what it means is you need to have a standard where that stops from now on. Hey, you might be watching this at the start of a week, the start of a new year, or whenever it is you're watching this. And if it's the start of something, this is the start of you understanding what you need to do to set deal breakers for you to have more success in your relationship. So, tip 1, priority, set your standard, no compromise whatsoever on your deal breakers. Once you've made the deal breakers, they are set. No bending rules, okay? 2, we call second P, personal growth. Meaning, if you're trying to decide on one of your deal breakers, you need to ask yourself, if I don't do this, will I have to adjust myself to fit what is happening here? For example, it might be something where you might go out and your new partner wants you to just look pretty. guys, you've probably had a good girl that said that, and girls, you probably know a guy that's gone, I just want you to come along and be with me and not say too much. Now, if you have to restrain or hold back from being the real you numerously and on a regular occurrence, this is where a deal breaker is crucial. You need to set a deal breaker and say, no, I will not be someone's handbag. I will not be someone's stepping stone. I will not be someone's punching bag or anything else. So it's about your personal growth so you can be true to yourself and no more. Because I tell you now, when I have got people that I've started with, in my clients that have been people that are very lost about their relationship, either in a relationship they're in or ones where they're single and they want to get back into, they're not quite sure, it is because they are just not clear and set about how they want to be treated. They know what they don't want. So that's where, and they want to get back to being the real them. So if you want to be the real you, your deal breakers need to coincide with you being you and not being held back and being less than who you are. And tip 3, the third P of the ones that I got, is what I call progress. Now, what I mean by this is I was saying before about repeated arguments. If you were in a relationship or in your current relationship, have repeated arguments about the same thing over and over again. Not necessarily the same argument about they aren't doing the dishes or they're not making the bed or whatever, but there's a pattern there of the same thing that you may be asking them to do and they don't, or whatever it is that is repeatedly coming through. This is where a deal breaker needs to be set and very clear. So you might go, you know what? I don't, and this is in regards to a few clients I've spoken to via email recently and a couple that I've worked online with, and even someone I had a call with recently, where I could tell you now their deal breaker is he must have a job, and not just any job, a job where he is fulfilling himself to be who he is, and he's not regretting it and coming home and taking it out on them and everything else. So that is a big deal breaker. So once you get that sorted, because if not, these arguments will continue on. Now, if you're having these arguments, you're not making any progress. And if you're not making any progress, these arguments will start little. And within 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, these arguments are getting bigger and bigger, to the point that they will be the things that were little fish at the start, which are growing into big mammoth sharks that are doing so much damage, and you don't even recognize the person you started to be with in the first place. That is why you then, and even if you're watching this now and you're 10 years, 5 years, 3 years into a relationship and you're like, well, it's a bit late to add a deal breaker now. No. This is where you be proactive, not reactive. So you don't do it when you're having an argument, but one day you'll sit down and don't sit there and go, we need to talk. Because we all know what that key sign is for, don't we? It means the other person's, oh, look, I've got to go. Look, I think that's my phone ringing. I got to go. Maybe in a car, when you're driving along in the car or going for a walk somewhere, or you're just casual having dinner or something, and you say, babe, I just want to discuss something. And this is where you go, look, I feel that this argument is happening because of this. So let's discuss something. And try not to use the word compromise, because I'm not saying compromise, but I want you to sit down and really, and even if before you do it, have a clear understanding, write it down yourself of what you're going to discuss. And then say to them, and when you write these deal breakers down, make sure it's a priority. So you prioritize it. This is something that will not be bent or not going to compromise on. It's locked in. It's going to be something that is going to help you be true to yourself and not be something you're not, and will give you progress on growing your relationship. So when you have this conversation, you say to them, hey, look, I know we've had this, issue for a little while, and I've thought about it, and I'm wondering, I wanted to discuss something with you, and I want to know what you think about it. How about we set, and you don't have to say a deal breaker, let's set a rule for both of us that, let's not discuss maybe each other's money issues, or let's not discuss from now on, you can handle this situation you're dealing with fine, and if I say something, I'm interfering and I'm causing an argument. And same with me, I have a situation that you think you're interfering, and we clash. So let's make a deal right here now that from now on, I'm old enough, pretty enough to look after myself and deal with it. And if I need some help, I'll come to you. And you are old enough, pretty enough, and smart enough to be able to look after yourself. And if you need a hand, you come to me. And that is a deal. You do not compromise. You don't, after a couple of drinks, bring it up. You don't bend the rule ladder. It is set. Because I tell you, once this is set and you put it in practice, I have done this in session after session after session with many clients, and if you stick to it, it never fails. It's a fail-safe guarantee. It will work if you stick to it. Don't treat it like a kid and go, oh, let him have it one time. Because that one time will turn into 2, 3, and many more. No, deal breakers, stick to it. They will make you feel better about yourself, true to yourself, and a hell of a lot better. Hopefully those tips help you. If you have any questions at all, feel free to email me at j@jasonmair.com, which the details will be below this video as well. And make sure you leave put the notification on, so when we put these videos up each week, you'll get notified when you'll be able to watch them and tune in as well. Thank you very much for watching. Wherever you are, make sure you get your questions into me. Any questions you have about relationships with you, your partner, your family, your friends, everyone else. Till next week, thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure giving you these tips. Until next time, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.